everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Jaimee and these are my picks for the best and worst films of the year. You will probably disagree, but as you'll soon find out, I saw, depending on what you count, anywhere between 23 and 27 films this year. So my ranking is entirely those films ranked, and I've put all 27 into a list, and this list is very subjective. So if you happen to disagree, well, look, you're probably not alone, and I probably can't blame you. Honestly, my lists of best and worst films from previous years, my opinions on those films have changed, so my opinions on this list almost certainly will change. So the thought that you would have a different opinion to mine is pretty much guaranteed. That being said, let's start this, shall we? So I figured I'd begin this by doing my middle section first, then doing my top 10 best and top 5 worst, or bottom 5 anyway, because it's just easier that way. There weren't a whole heap of films that I saw that I hated. In fact, really there were only 2 films that I saw that I hated. There were a few others that I disliked, and there were a certain number that I really liked, but the difference between ones that I really liked and ones that I quite liked and ones that they were okay, isn't very much. So pretty much the difference between any of the ones on this list isn't very high, so, you know, take it as you will. Alright, very quickly then. At number 22, we have Rampage. This film was fine. It wasn't anything, but it was fine. I saw it on a plane. I mean, I'm glad that they're bringing in some real genetics into films, like CRISPR-Cas9's a thing. That's really all I can say for that film. Rock's cool. Number 21, Slaughterhouse Rulez. This film looked like it was going to be so much fun, and it was. It had its moments, but overall it was mostly kind of meh. It really could have benefited from an extra about half hour to just develop all the side characters and all the actual characters' motivations. But it was a fun time. I don't regret seeing it. Number 20, Solo, A Star Wars Story. Yeah, this film was very meh, very middle of the road. If you ignore its actual ties to the Star Wars universe, it's much better than if you look at it as like a prequel film, but it's very meh, but I think everyone else has already said this, so. Number 19, this one might annoy people, Love, Simon. Now, I'll make this clear. The idea of a sort of like a classic teenage drama comedy high school romance type film, but done with a person who is gay or any LGBTQ plus person, is a good idea, and we should have more of these out there. That being said, the thing that stopped me from liking this film is the character of Simon. He is a complete and total utter twat. All he needs to do, he doesn't need to tell his friends everything, but if as soon as, very minor spoiler here, well, he really just needs an ounce of common sense. Firstly, don't leave your email unlocked. The entire plot is solved if he just pays attention to what he's doing. But failing that, as soon as he starts getting blackmailed, all he has to do is go up to his friends and be like, hey guys, I'm being blackmailed, this is what's happening, I don't want to tell you why I'm being blackmailed, but here's the situation. And if they're good friends, they'll respect his privacy, and they'll be like, okay dude, that sucks, how can we help you? The entire plot would be solved. That being said, everything else in this film is good. It's just the main character that annoyed me. Number 17. This one is one of those ones that might not count. The Princess Switch. If you're looking to kill an hour and a half at Christmas, this film will do it. Aside from that, there's literally nothing else about it that's worth mentioning. Number 16, A Christmas Prince 2. Yeah, I tend to watch random films on Netflix, especially at Christmas. I saw the first one, so I thought I may as well see the sequel, and I am a fan of Rose McIver. This film is fine. It completely ignores the continuity from the last film, but hey, I don't see that as a bad thing or anything. This film's fine. It's harmless. Number 15, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think the main disappointment with this film is that it could have been so much more than it was. It was perfectly fine as it was. It was a pretty good follow-up. It's just that it didn't really do anything. And I guess we've been overspoiled with good superhero films of late. So for a film to not really do anything is kind of a bad thing. Number 14, The Christmas Chronicles. Yep, this is the last one of the Netflix Christmas films, I swear. It had Kurt Russell as Santa. I feel like that's enough said. Go see it. Just go see Kurt Russell as Santa. Everyone needs that in their lives. Number 13, The Incredibles 2. This is another example of one of those ones that could have been so much more but wasn't. The Incredibles, the first one, was a really, really good film. And this one is so formulaic. You've got the husband tries to be a wife and do the mummy things type story going on with Bob, and okay, sure, there's Jack superpowers thrown into it, but do we really need that? And then, on the other hand, you've got a super lazy villain reveal and a pretty boring villain plot. Like, there's some good stuff in it. I mean, it's not ranked badly or anything, but this film could have been so much more than it was. Number 12, Ready Player One. Now, a lot of people took a lot of issue with this film, a lot of people took a lot of issue with the book, and a big part of the criticism seems to be that essentially, if you're not there to be like, oh, that was a thing from the thing, remember that thing? That there's not really much to the film, and yet that's entirely true. But here's the thing, I enjoy being like, that was an Adam West Batmobile, that was Serenity, that was a Mecha Godzilla. So, this is probably higher up on the list than it should be. Sue me. Number 11. This would be the film that I just saw today, and since today is New Year's Day, it's not technically a film I saw last year, but regardless, Aquaman. Yeah, I didn't see this one coming either. The trailers looked really bad. Well, no, that's not fair. The trailer for Batman and Superman looked very bad. The trailer for this one just looked like it was gonna aim for lowbrow humor, but have some good action. And it had good action, but actually was quite funny. It was quite entertaining. It was pretty much a standard Marvel-style movie, which could be considered a criticism for the DCU, but given the DCEU's track record, this is a really good step for them. This is definitely their second best film after Wonder Woman. Aquaman. Who would have thought it? Okay, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do 10 through 6, and then I'm going to alternate between worst, best, etc. Fair? Number 10. Tomb Raider. A film based on a video game that doesn't suck? Huh. Basically, I enjoy action films, and what I really enjoy is seeing a female-led action film where the female main character isn't crazily, overtly sexualized. Well, that's a refreshing change. Yeah, just go see this film. It's better than you think it's gonna be. It was fun. Number 9, Crazy Rich Asians. You want a fun rom-com with one of the best ensemble casts ever? Go see quite a few different movies, but Crazy Rich Asians is one of them, and it came out last year. On top of having a great ensemble cast, it's really good to see a film like this, well, be made, but be made and marketed to the crowd that it was, because, let's face it, Asians are severely underrepresented in mainstream Hollywood. Also, I saw one of the main criticisms behind this is that it's stereotypist, and to that all I can say is, haven't you ever seen a rom-com? Every rom-com is stereotypist. Men, the women, the random minorities, everyone, literally everyone in it is stereotyped. In, I think, every rom-com ever. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 exceptions out there. Hey, point them out in the comment section below. Moving on. Number 8, The Meg. Who doesn't like seeing Jason Statham fighting a giant shark? Possibly a few people, but I am one of those people who is very much for that, even if the film could have used a bit more gore. Number 7, Black Panther. Oh, I can hear that like 3 people who are watching this being like, how can you think of The Meg and Black Panther as being similar level films? And I don't know, but I do. I liked Black Panther quite a lot. I especially liked, well, let's face it, great ensemble cast, but moreover, like, great production design. Like, look at those costumes, damn! But yeah, it was a very good film that I very much enjoyed. I don't think it deserves Best Picture, but it was great. Like, I very much enjoyed it. Definitely go out and see it. But does it even need promotion? Number 6. Well, this one came out of nowhere. The Spy Who Dumped Me. Okay, so Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon are great comic actors, but my god, they've got such good comedic chemistry with each other. And there are some bad jokes in this film, but the delivery of them is so perfect. I was laughing the entire way through. I did not see that coming. I thought, oh, this will be a fun throwaway film. This film was great. If you get a chance, if you want some weird, fun spy comedy / BFF road trip comedy, go watch The Spy Who Dumped Me. Yeah, gee, who would have thought that? And now we're on to my top 5 and by extension bottom 5 films of the year. Let's see how this turns out. 5th worst film of the year, Pacific Rim Uprising. You want to know how to do a sequel? You completely ignore the main character from the first one, you kill off the secondary lead from the first one completely unceremoniously and in a way that's completely unfair, you invent that character, a sibling that didn't exist, and have them be the focus, and then you have a character that was clearly designed to be played by Maisie Williams, that's actually a thing, by the way, and cast another random kid who is actually a good actress. And I don't mean anything against her, but I'm sitting there the entire time picturing, what if Maisie Williams was there instead? Can we see Maisie Williams driving a giant robot and killing giant monsters? Please? Yeah, no, this film just kind of sucked. Number 5. Mary Poppins Returns. This was so cute and good, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was great, and Emily Blunt was great, and one of the kids was a stabby murderous kid from Game of Thrones, and that very much took me out of the film. I kept sort of seeing the kid as a serial killer, and possibly that says something more about me. And it's great to see Dick Van Dyke dancing on a table, and a certain cameo at the end that was definitely meant to be Julie Andrews, who I'm guessing declined. Should probably look that up. But this film had so many issues. The main story arc focuses on Michael, the kid from the first film, but he's not in it, and you can argue that, well, the main story arc of Mary Poppins is about Mr. Banks, and he's not really in it. The story tends to focus on the kids. And yeah, but this is ignoring the kids from the first film and focusing on the kids from this film that we don't really care about, because they seem perfectly capable of taking care of themselves, and their father seems very capable of trusting them to do that, so That's not the issue. I don't know, it was a good film. It could have been a brilliant and amazing film, and I think that's where my problems lie with it, but I still really enjoyed it. Damn. This is a weird thing. Oh, and I loved the beautiful 2D animation. Yes, more of that. It's a mixed bag, but it's a mixed bag I'm glad I saw and would be worth seeing again, and also had a great ensemble cast. This year was really good for great ensemble casts. And my fourth worst film of the year. Well, if you saw my review of it, you may think it's actually going to end up lower. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Look, you can watch my review if you want to know my thoughts on it, but essentially, the thing that saved this film was Newt. I really like Newt as a character, and I really like following Newt. Too bad he wasn't involved in the main plot. Fourth best film of the year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Or, in my head, Spideyverse. This film was fun. Like, I love Spider-Gwen, and it's great to see her on screen. And on top of that, just all the random side jokes. And this is actually the best, like, page-to-screen use of an adaptation from a comic book that I think I've ever seen. It's this or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But in terms of, like, having the weird zaniness of a comic book come to life on screen, and my god, the animation style was beautiful. Oh, we need more films to look like this, and more animated films to take risks like this, to be stylized. And more Nicolas Cage, just in general. And more Spider-Gwen. And more Peter Porker. Third worst film of the year. Maze Runner: The Death Cure. Look, I don't really mean anything against this franchise or this film. I just don't give a shit about any part of it. Look, it was fine. It's fine. The film is fine. If you care about the characters or have read the books, it's probably more interesting. I don't. I couldn't remember what had happened in the last film and was having to remind myself who everyone was. If you hadn't seen any of the films, you'd have been even more confused. It was such a giant mess of not caring. Oh well, it happened. And third best, The Hate U Give. The Hate U Give was... It's what, if you want your teen drama high school film, this is what we should be looking at, Love, Simon. This is your, takes the classic teen drama and puts it into a whole new light. And to call it a teen drama is completely unfair. But there are scenes that take place at a high school, and the relationships between the main girl and her high school friends are a huge part of the film. So it's not an unfair way to refer to it. But this film, it really looks into some of the more overlooked issues of modern day race relations, and it also just subtly does a bunch of good things. Like, there's a scene with girls who are just hanging out at one of their friends' houses on the weekend, and they're playing video games. Now, as someone who was a teenage girl, yeah, when I went to my friends' houses, we played video games. In fact, that was one of the main things we did. But have you ever actually seen that in a film? Just think about it. Small details like that make this film really good and feel really real. And it's just the kind of thing that we need in 2018 or now 2019. And the second worst film, I should stop doing that. God, I hated this film. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. You're not even worthy of the Jurassic legacy. I don't really want to go into this film, only to say that the one kind of saving grace of its predecessor being B.D. Wong's Henry Wu, he couldn't save this film. He gets the dumbest things to say. And again, I am a fan of realistic genetics. Is it wrong when Rampage, the film that starts with 3 genetic-y-ish vials falling from space and landing across America and causing the one specific gorilla who has sort of learnt to communicate to mutate, that's the film that has the better genetics? Like Jurassic Park, the original, that had good fake science. It's because they took some real science and then they just changed it up a bit to make it actually work. In Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, they forget that science is a thing and that people like science, and they are like, what's going to make the best theatrics, without really thinking through what's going to make this film remotely believable, grounded in reality, or just, for God's sakes, make sense. And that's not even getting into the fact that I literally hate every character in this film. Now, I hear a lot of people saying about the end thing where there's a button that gets pressed that shouldn't have been pressed, because obviously pressing that button is the wrong thing to do. But here's the thing. I don't care about any of the human characters in this film. In fact, the only characters that I kind of like are the dinosaurs. So I am very much on board pressing that button. Let's kill all the humans. That's definitely not going to sound bad out of context. And with that, my number 2 best film of the year, that was a thumbs up, not a... Mission Impossible Fallout. This is the 6th film in the Mission Impossible franchise, and somehow they kind of keep getting better. It's more like a... that. Very quick synopsis of my thoughts of the Mission Impossible films. 1, good but boring, slightly overrated. 2, tried to watch it, fell asleep. 3, pretty good. 4, this is one of the best action films of all time. It's got some really great sequences. 5, pretty darn good. Not quite as good as 4, but pretty darn good. 6 was even better. 6 took the entire franchise, which has been a very, very loosely held together franchise, and basically wrapped it all up into a nice, tiny, neat ball, whilst also having some of the best action sequences I have ever seen on film. The stunts in this film are amazing, and somehow it actually has a story thread that manages to tie it together with the entire franchise as well. Again, I did not see this coming. This would be one of the best films of the year? Well, I mean, I didn't expect it to be a bad film, but... Alright, so with that, drum roll, what could possibly bottom Jurassic World? I'll say top Jurassic World, as being the worst film of the year. And this film, I will state unequivocally, has absolutely no redeeming qualities. There are 2 actors in it who have given good performances in other things, and I don't blame for this film, but just avoid this film at all costs. Number 1 worst film of 2018, The Little Mermaid. Not the Disney one, that other one. Calling this thing a film is quite a stretch. It appears to have been thrown together with not really any care in mind. The special effects look like something, well, I don't think it's something I could do right now, but I reckon it's something I could do if you gave me maybe 4 hours of YouTube tutorials. But I don't feel the need to put myself through that. This is literally this film, the story is very loose. Oh, three actors, I forgot one. Three actors who I've seen in other things who were much better in the other things. The story is awful and very loose. The acting isn't great, and there is no redeeming qualities. This film is garbage. Do not see this film. Alright, the anticipation is over. I'm sure everyone is shocked to find out that my number one best film of 2018 is Avengers Infinity War. You didn't see that one coming, did ya? Yeah, this person who's clearly shown to be a fan of superhero movies was a fan of the biggest superhero movie. Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Regardless, Infinity War was... I mean, it's kind of what I thought it was going to be, and also it's nothing like what I thought it was going to be. Like, I figured exactly where it was going to end. I just didn't think that you could get that much character development, character story, character interactions into the film. I mean, you've got like 20 main characters. How are you gonna do that? And yet, they did it. They did it. Just, I mean, proverbial hats off to the Russo brothers. Praise be, and give them all the monies and awards and everything else. And I'm really looking forward to part 2. Alright, I think that's all I've got time for. We'll see what the new year brings when it comes to this channel. It might bring a whole heap of reviews, and it might bring absolutely nothing at all. We'll see. Take care, everyone, and please like the video if you liked it, or even if you thought it was okay. I don't expect any of you to share, but you could subscribe to my channel and maybe get the occasional video. I promise they won't be garbage. Can't promise much else. And comment below what you thought. What was your favourite film of the year? What was your least favourite film of the year? How much do you disagree with my list? And seriously, tell me that, because I'm kind of curious. Alright, take care everyone, and I'll see you all next time.